James Kalm, your half-ass reporter. The guy on the bike, and we're in downtown Brooklyn on Atlantic Avenue. Special shout out to our viewers in Winnemucca. We're going to stop in at the 490 Gallery and look at a show by Dondo titled I'll Have What They're Having. Gosh, there's the man, Dondo. We're doing our little cursory scan of the installation.
Welcome to Jim's place.
490 Atlantic Avenue. Are you bashful?
No.
Yeah? That doesn't matter. You gonna come through and give us a little chat about the show?
Sure.
This is spontaneous. So the title of the show is I'll Have What They're Having?
Yes.
What does that mean? How are we supposed to take that?
Well, my last show was out in New London, Connecticut at Catherine Fosno, and I called that show They Are Sebastian.
Okay.
And it's just acknowledging all the gender interests of our current time.
Let's talk a little bit about some of these individual paintings. I think I actually got a little part of a program you did out at Valentine there with Fred Valentine out in Ridgewood, isn't that
Yes.
correct?
Yeah, you visited that show.
What's the title of this piece?
Folk dance.
Folk Dance. We're going to try to move through here. So you're talking about this is what I'll have what they're having, and is this also related to the gender issues and the concept of identity that's very prevalent these days?
Yes, and the idea that these paintings are composites of several photo sources, almost like an exquisite corpse, but more unified than that. It's more of a positive assembly or an adding up of different times and places and sources into one. Could be a narrative, but often there's a personality or a portrait in each painting.
Let's talk a little bit about your technique. Now you're talking about using photographic images. Do you use a projector as well in some of this?
No.
No projectors, okay. You're very emphatic about the no on that.
Well, I really like to see what happens when I sketch out, working from either a still life. In this case, it's a collage I've made out of scraps of photographs from different sources and different time periods. And I like to see what happens just from trying to sketch it, like your body.
Keep the hand in there, the little,
yeah, it changes
the little paw part of it in there.
And I've scaled up a few times in the past, and I just didn't like how so much of the emotion is lost. And just trying to be faithful to some arbitrary machine that scaled it up.
Well, it's certain people like the removal of the emotion. They want to remove the hand and kind of replace it. Like Warhol said he wanted to be a machine. Beyond that, tell me a little bit about your training. Where did you study?
I studied originally at Toledo University with this teacher, Diana Addy. They have their classrooms beneath the Toledo Museum of Art, and I studied there in high school. I left high school a year early and started taking private tutoring in figurative painting.
What's the title of this piece?
You asked me on the
Is
spot.
that too hard?
It's the letters W, R, Y, D.
WRYD. Okay.
It's an ancient, I think it's Irish mythology and idea about fate, sort of.
You know, you were talking about the kind of the gender issues, gender confusion, those kinds of things. I think this is a good example, kind of how that plays into what you're doing with creating the images. So I've got some kind of a scene of somebody getting spanked, but it's not really clear who is doing the spanking and who is being spanked, the spankee versus the spanker.
No, I don't really think of it that way as spanking, although that might be one of the photo sources.
Well, okay.
Yeah, this is the diciest painting here, perhaps.
Also, I like the juicy colors. Let's keep moving into the next gallery. Let's start over here. Now, in a certain way, I think that also you kind of, although you're kind of slicing and dicing things, you do have a predilection towards trying to maintain kind of classic painterly modes of representation, as well as maybe some just technical things as far as how you build up your forms with the paint and the brush strokes.
Sure. I think
That's
that
very classic.
well, that's what I enjoy doing. It's part of my background. I like how it just pulls all these different sources together. I can have a unified painting, unified brushes, brush lines.
You know, I think the other thing I like is you were talking about sort of collaging things together, and it's not only about your representational things, there's also kind of an element of time in there. You know, this is like we've got a black and white nude in there, and then kind of laid across there is this color portrait that could be something from the 70s or something, as opposed to something from the 40s or 30s. Do we have a title for this one? Oh gosh, we got a red dot there. That's good.
As day turns to night.
Okay, do I have a title on this one? This is kind of an odd piece.
Trench coat tissue migrant.
So I assume that this collage section over here is from like a men's catalog of
Sears and
overcoats
Roebuck
or something. Overcoat, Sears and Roebuck.
from the 70s.
And there was a reference to Titian in there? Was that what that is?
Yes.
So is this some kind of a reclining god in the background of something from Titian?
A painting that he did called Sacred and Profane Love. And this is a section of it. I don't remember whether I flipped it on a copier or not to get the... I don't remember. I just have suitcases full of scraps of photos.
So you said that these three paintings in this gallery are the most recent pieces you were working on? So let me ask you a little bit about the technical aspects of this. This one I'm looking at, you've got kind of a fluorescent pink ground that you're painting on.
Yes.
Do you normally work on some kind of like brilliant ground that you start working on? And
No, but that's a challenge. You know, I try to start about every third painting. I'll do something really hot and fluorescent underneath, and it gives me something to fight against while working out the color. And I think that enlivens the whole process and the painting itself in the end. It's battling, trying to suppress something.
kind of work over the the fluorescent. Okay, let's come in the last gallery. I'm going to ask you something I think is pretty interesting. The sculpture.
Yes.
Is this new?
Well, I've been working in, well, when you saw the show at Fred's, we had,
Yes.
there was about 8 clay sculptures in that show. And they were very fragile.
But these are cast bronze.
Yeah.
You've got them got them cast. That's great.
Yeah, I have about 60 of these.
60?
But not all of them are cast. Like just maybe a handful. These 3 I just had cast for this show.
What do you find is a challenge between switching from the 2-dimensional works to the 3-dimensional works? I know you're still kind of splicing and dicing things together, but I guess the
I started the
3-dimensional.
sculptures because I was having trouble locating what I was painting, like in a space, and so I started building the figure in clay to think, oh well, I'll just paint from this instead of my drawings and photo reference, and I never did paint from these. They just became a thing of their own because
I was going to ask if you'd use these as models for some of the paintings.
No, not yet. I just love them the way they are.
And how about the plinths that you've got these on?
Yeah, well, my studio kind of reminds me of these crates, and I didn't want to bring in any modeling stands for my studio because I need them. Okay. So I thought, what can I build that looks like a modeling stand? And, you know, the crates are out on the sidewalk all the time, outside of the store. And I just cut them down to a size and, yeah, put some aluminum tape on the top to give it some...
Yeah, that's pretty flashy.
To make it hover a bit.
Okay, let's get back to the paintings. Do we have a title for this?
This is called Performer. It's probably the earliest, it is the earliest painting in the show.
And this is what, about 4 by 3 feet, something like that? And this is all oil, right?
Yes.
Oil on canvas. This looks a little bit like the sculpture over there. The 2 figures kind of melded together.
This one. Sometimes I build the sculptures from paintings.
As I was saying, I appreciate your kind of classical training and your work to get your figures kind of properly proportioned before you chop them up. I was also, and talking about the time thing, is there any kind of like classical period that you like to borrow from? We saw the piece that had Titian in there, but I was thinking, any Rococo artists or people like that you like?
I love Rubens.
Rubens. I think everyone loves Rubens. Okay, this is a nice little piece.
Yeah, that sculpture didn't make it into bronze, so it didn't get into the show. I have the sculpture of that one.
I've got the 3 saints at the side. I mean, would you consider yourself kind of a surrealist, or? Because I am saying this, and you were talking about some sort of narratives and things being created, but is that just an accident, or you do kind of look for those psychological relationships between things?
Sure. I like to make them uncomfortable. I like a painting that makes me want to look at it over and over again and sort it out.
And wonder what the hell is going on there.
And every time I look at it, I come up with a different story in my head, depending on what's on my mind. I think that's a good painting.
This one you're using a little nubbier linen. This is nice.
Yeah, I can't even find that linen anymore. I don't know where I got it when I did it.
Beautiful.
Just jute that's been,
Yeah,
that they put
okay.
some oil
primer on there. Okay, we'll back up and look at this one. It'll be the last piece we check out. Okay, so we've got the young lady who is sipping a martini and smoking a cigarette or some kind of cocktail, looks like, and then we've got an oboe player, an 18th century oboe player.
A bassoon.
A bassoon, excuse me.
It's kind of lopped off on the top and on the bottom. Fit the composition.
I guess this is probably the largest piece in the show too, right?
Yeah.
Big one.
Vivaldi's reverse 1.5.
Vivaldi's reverse 1.5. Okay, that's interesting. Okay. Dondo, thanks for giving us a little spontaneous explication here. The title of the show is I'll Have What They're Having, was that it?
That's right.
Okay. All right, well, thanks. I'm gonna keep rolling on. Well, we always say thank you, Kate, but... Okay, viewers, now we're on Henry Street near Pike, and we're going to try to bop into the No Gallery.
Are you an artist or a...
Paul Peck,
This guy? All right, I'll add you
good,
too,
nice
bud.
to see you. Okay, we'll take a little...
What do I call him? Paul?
You can call me anything you want, just don't call me late for dinner, all right? Okay.
We're talking about some old, like, French, conceptualism here.
Old French
You're
conceptualism.
the perfect person to talk to about this.
Well,
New York conceptualism.
I'm barely a New York conceptualist, barely.
You're not a New York conceptualist, but
No.
you traced it on your canvases.
Yes.
The birth of New York conceptualism.
Well, we popped in here to see a show by Jaxon Demme, is that how it's pronounced? Okay. And Jackson she's from California, is that what you're saying? It's from the Bay Area?
No, she's from Hollywood.
Hollywood.
Yeah, and they've got pieces of Hollywood in these paintings, too. It's all dirt mixed in.
Oh,
Nice.
Hollywood dirt. That's the
That's
best kind.
romantic quality of these
The
traveling
best
across
kind.
The Pioneer Trail to make it to New York.
And the title of the show is Celestial Cues?
Yeah.
Okay, so, well, we'll take a look at a couple of these large paintings to begin with. We got a title for this, Casey? This one here?
This one is When I See in the Dark, 2022.
Okay, we'll see if we can squeeze this into the frame. When I See in the Dark. Well, I liked Jackson's show. I came in probably about a month ago and was looking at it, and I like the kind of the ruggedness, the abject quality of a lot of this. You were talking about dirt from Hollywood and
Yeah.
stuff like that in here, but she also collages in things and
That's paper pulp.
all kinds of various weird paints, house paint. She got tar in here as well.
I don't know if there's tar. There's definitely like house paint,
Acrylic.
paper pulp,
Paper
acrylic,
pulp,
probably whatever
oil.
she has around the studio.
Right.
And then it's like layered. This painting in particular is just layer
Pastel
upon layer
things.
upon layer upon layer. You know. And then it's interesting because this part right here she left like raw wood. You know.
Okay, so these are on panel.
They're on
Okay.
panel. They're heavy duty.
And let's take a look at this one over here. It's a little lighter palette.
Yeah. Not so light of a.
Yeah, if you don't want to lift it.
Tiny Revelations on my pile of dirt.
Tiny evolution or revolution?
Revelations.
Revelations on my pile of dirt. And these are what? That's got to be 84 by 72, something
Yeah,
like
right
that.
on, right on. You're sharp, sir.
I think I'm going to get a little stand at the carnival where I can like guess the size of people's paintings when they come by. And again, we've got some chunky paints, shiny matte surfaces, collage things.
Layers, dirt from the studio.
I kind of like the way that this faded into a pencil drawing on collage against the really thick.
Pieces of leaf in there.
It's like someone outside someone's nail salon picking up things. And then she's got this installation of concrete butterflies.
Yeah,
Is that what that is?
concrete, wax, foam, dirt, fabric, some of them. I mean, really whatever she had laying around the studio, she just kind of went wild leading up to the show, building all these butterflies.
And how many do you actually have hanging here in the
She made
front
92,
gallery?
and
92.
72 made the final cut. And we didn't know what to expect, when we were talking about this idea, but it just worked out so great. And also, it's like she kept them like really accessible. So what I like about this is like not only like the great pieces, but also like normal, like
Regular
normal
people could afford these.
Normal people that don't buy art are coming in here and being able to experience buying a piece of art. So I love that. I think that's great.
Well, I'm old enough to remember the old rock and roll group called Iron Butterfly, but I guess it's not quite concrete butterfly. It's getting there. I think the other thing they like about Jaxon is she's got some very nice drawings.
Yeah, well, that's when I was first showing her work, I was showing her drawings, and I was kind of jaw dropped with it. And then I had a video meeting with her, and she's just wild and just very fun, very charismatic. Just kind of just a weird artist.
Right. This is on fabric of some kind. Maybe it's a canvas.
Yeah.
Okay. Graphite. We got some acrylic in there. Can we take a look at the ones you got in the back room?
Yeah.
Okay, now I like the color thing on this. Just kind of limited down, and then the yellow frame is a nice touch.
Yeah, she works with these really nice framers out in Los Angeles.
And this is some kind of weird
She wouldn't tell me exactly what
art
it was.
mix wax and something there. Yeah, okay.
She just says call it mixed medium. I can only assume that it's like some sort of plasticine or something.
Okay. I think one of the things I like about the work is that it has a kind of an outsider quality. And
She's a RISD grad, but yeah,
a
I know what
RISD
you're
grad.
saying, yeah.
But it's so rugged, and I think the thing that I like about it is that some people try to kind of imitate that kind of outsider ruggedness, outsider urgency, and it's just inauthentic, but somehow this kind of reads more authentic and real, outside the pale, beyond the pale, love me better. So those pieces are probably, what, about 18 by 22, 17 by
But they
24, something like that,
sure
yeah.
pack a punch,
And again, this is a small painting, but it's got a lot of stuff in there. Graphite, pencil collage, the weird
Paper pulp, yeah.
putty, paper pulp. She's got kind of a strange, almost like, pardon the term, kind of a girly theme. A lot of these are dealing with dolls and the things that maybe young ladies would play with or something, but then they're kind of pressed into a decrepit, abject situation. Anyway, so that was nice looking at Jaxon Demme's piece. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this. We sort of talked about this over the years. I came by a couple of months ago, a month and a half ago, and I was doing a report on the other galleries that have opened here. I think it was 6 galleries down here.
There's 7 now?
7 galleries around the corner here. But you were the first guy that
On this
opened
corner.
on this corner.
Really,
yes.
the OGs on Henry are David Fearman and
Okay.
Ellie from 56 Henry. But I found this, I was lucky enough to find during the pandemic, find this like little spot, and I just started calling up neighbors and saying, hey, you know, do you want a cheap spot, you know? And then we all just kind of like, I don't know, everybody just started opening up, and everybody's doing something a little different. There's great energy down here, even up and down here.
Right.
From Housing Gallery all the way down to the end of Henry, all the way down to Lubov. That turns into, I mean, there's just a nice row of galleries.
There is. This is kind of one of the new places where some of the young, active, radical galleries are showing their stuff.
Yeah, people, I mean, the overheads, I mean, everybody's doing something a little bit different down here. So you can probably, there's a gallery down there that basically has an exhibition space of weird smells. Scratch
Really?
and sniff paintings.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just like really kind of out there. You know?
Clear out my nose and I'll make a visit.
Yeah.
And how long have you been here?
We're going on 2 years. In
2
this
years?
location, yeah. We just put in the new floor.
Right, the floor looks beautiful. You say you brought this back from
Delaware.
Delaware?
1940s reclaimed.
Wow, okay.
Got a good deal.
And do you think that there's a particular, well, you were saying it's pretty diverse, but still, do you think there's kind of an aesthetic that is shared down here? It seems like things are not so slick. You know, you go to some of the places, it's a kind of a commercial Chelsea kind of stuff. Everything is perfectly finished and perfectly framed. And
there's galleries that, I really do mean this. Like, there's M23, who's like strictly minimalist.
right.
You know, like Caddy Nolan, you know what I mean? There's maybe a more commercial aesthetic of like ATM Gallery, and then you have 56 Henry, who's been doing what
That's
they've
right,
been doing,
yep.
and then you got David Fearman, who's, you know, queer aesthetic, you know, and then I don't know. Then you got Rena Sprawlings, which is like a staple, you know what I mean? So and then you got everybody in between, and I think everybody's just like enjoys doing what they're interested in doing here, and we can do that down here, and we feel good doing it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you kind of like the inside of the outsiders as far as the bottom of the Lower East Side goes. Yeah,
it's cool. Yeah, and you dubbed it the lowest of the Lower East Side, but even if like personalities don't get along, it's still, I think everybody really enjoys being a part of this kind of energy that's happening down here.
Yeah, the contention is part of it, you know, and you've got an aesthetic or you have an opinion of this or that, you throw it out there and you're hoping everybody's going to have a little energy to come back and, tweak you a little bit here and there. Mm-hmm. Okay, Casey Cleghorn, thanks for taking a little time to chat with us. I'm sorry I missed
comments. Like, subscribe, smash that subscribe button.
And
that like.
Right, you can leave your thoughts, ideas, comments, criticisms, reviews,
Oh, they like to criticize me.
and suggestions below.
That show that with Genesis Peorage, and I got something
Yes.
wrong, and there was like 5 people on the side, just like, who the fuck is this?
Well, everybody's got to be a nerd, and that's why I always say, you know, you can put your criticism down there, and that's an important part of being an artist.
I'm here for it.
And you can subscribe. Leave your thoughts, ideas, comments, criticisms, and reviews. Just as long as you say thank you, Kate. Thank you, Naga Ecstasy. Thank you.